The question came up in every boardroom across New Zealand and Australia. What happens to us if SCO wins? In 2004, Novell had an answer backed by documented legal protection worth $1.5 million per customer. In 2026, that same question is back for AI-generated code, and the answer does not exist yet. Here is exactly what that shield looked like. On the 13th of January 2004, the day Novell acquired SUSE, it simultaneously launched the Linux indemnification program. The copyright chain was clean. AT&T sold Unix rights to Novell in 1993. When assets moved toward SCO, the copyrights stayed with Novell. SCO had never owned them. SCO sued 7 days later. The case ran 7 years. On the 30th of March 2010, a jury gave SCO nothing from the 250.
Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Hamberger Report, a concise history of Linux. I'm Andreas Hamberger. On the 13th of January 2004, Novell completed two things in a single day. It acquired SUSE Linux, the German enterprise Linux distributor, and it simultaneously launched the Novell Linux indemnification program. The program covered SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, 8 customers against copyright infringement claims from any third party. The ceiling was $1.5 million per customer, or 1.25 times their software purchase price, whichever was greater. Novell CEO Jack Messman described the company as unique among Linux vendors in offering a full-stack Linux solution with documented legal protection. Alongside the announcement, Novell released more than 30 letters it had exchanged with SCO Group, documenting Novell's ownership of the Unix System V copyrights. The message was direct. Here is what we hold, here is what SCO does not hold, and here is the paper trail. The copyright chain mattered because SCO's entire campaign rested on it. Novell had acquired Unix System V rights from AT&T in 1993. When Novell sold certain Unix assets to the Santa Cruz operation in 1995, it retained the copyrights explicitly. Caldera International acquired the Santa Cruz operations assets in 2001 and renamed itself SCO Group. At no point in that chain did the copyrights transfer. SCO had never owned them. SCO's response came in 7 days. On the 20th of January 2004, SCO filed a slander of title lawsuit against Novell in Utah State Court, seeking a court order assigning Novell's Unix copyright registrations to SCO and requiring Novell to retract all public claims to copyright ownership. Novell moved the case to federal court in February 2004, then filed a motion to dismiss. The case did not end there. It ran for 6 more years. Novell's copyright assertion established a legal direction. The industry built a fence around it. HP launched its own Linux indemnification program. Red Hat established a legal defense fund for open source developers. Intel, IBM, and Monte Vista contributed $10 million to an open source development lab legal defense fund. OSDL separately set aside $3 million to cover Linus Torvalds' personal legal costs should SCO attempt to pursue the kernel's creator directly. IBM was already named in SCO's $1 billion lawsuit from March 2003. The company was not going to allow a litigation campaign to destroy the investment it had committed to Linux in 2001. SCO had sent 1,500 letters demanding $700 per server in licensing fees and had confirmed direct contact with Google. Grok Law Pamela Jones's legal analysis blog tracked the case line by line for developers, lawyers, and enterprise IT professionals. The community intelligence mobilized in ways corporate litigation counsel had not anticipated. Enterprise Linux's legal defense was not limited to one jurisdiction. In April 2006, after SCO filed a second amended complaint, adding copyright infringement claims, specifically targeting Novell's SUSE division, SUSE filed its own arbitration request with the International Court of Arbitration in Paris. SUSE sought to preclude SCO from asserting proprietary rights over any code in Linux. The ICC action ran parallel to the US federal proceedings, requiring SCO to defend on 2 continents simultaneously. The Paris venue was not accidental. SUSE's deepest customer relationships were with European enterprises, particularly in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. SCO's claims were a direct threat to those relationships. SUSE was not content to rely on Novell's defense alone. On the 30th of March 2010, a jury in Salt Lake City returned its verdict. Novell legally retained ownership of the Unix copyrights. SCO had been seeking approximately $251 million in Unix license fees. The jury gave them nothing. The 10th Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the verdict in full on the 30th of August 2011. SCO had filed for bankruptcy during the litigation, the case that had threatened to destabilize Linux adoption across the Global 500 concluded in 2021, when IBM paid the SCO bankruptcy trustee $14.25 million to settle the remaining claims the Shield had held. It is worth being precise about what Novell's legal position achieved. It did not end SCO's lawsuit immediately. The litigation ran 7 years, cost significant legal resources, and occupied management attention at Novell through the period when Novell needed to be executing its use strategy. Legal certainty is not the same as legal resolution. What it changed was the risk calculus for enterprise customers. The question, if we deploy SUSE Linux and SCO wins, what happens to us, had a specific documented answer from the day the acquisition closed. The indemnification program was a financial commitment with defined limits and a legal basis. Novell was prepared to defend in court. For organizations making infrastructure decisions in 2004 and 2005, that answer was sufficient. The Linux wars were fought on many fronts. This one was fought with documentation in court, and Novell won. The legal question Novell answered in 2004 was, who owns the code in this system, and what liability does that ownership create? In 2026, the same question is back wearing different clothes. The Threaded 7.0 dispute, rewritten using AI assistance and re-licensed from LGBL to MIT, raises whether an AI-assisted rewrite constitutes a genuinely clean room implementation, breaks the license chain. The 2026 open source security and risk analysis found 66% of commercial code bases contain license conflicts, a 12% increase year-on-year, with AI-generated code identified as the primary driver. Novell's Shield was legal ownership, documented, asserted publicly, confirmed by a jury, grounded in a traceable chain of title back to AT&T. No equivalent exists for AI-generated code. No jury has ruled on whether training AI on copyleft code creates derivative works. No indemnification program covers the gap. In 2004, Novell provided the indemnification. In 2026, your board needs to know who provides yours. That is the Hamberger report for today. If this was useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. You will find links to everything we covered in the description below. I am Andreas Hamberger, and I will see you tomorrow.
Like and subscribe.